Hello and welcome to another edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast here at ringbellsonline.com. We're back with episode 44. I am Irish G. Allen, alongside me my colleague Freaky Lee Burton.
Yo!
I never know what you're going to say and it always disappoints. Lee, we have a guest on our show tonight that we are both quite excited to talk about.
I wish I was dead.
Why?
Because I'm such a disappointment.
You always try to be cool on those
It just doesn't work with my accent.
You always try to be a little bit too street for your Englishness.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, our guest today.
Yes.
Our guest today is a woman who we've been talking about quite a lot over the last 6 months, and other people have been talking about quite a lot as well.
We apologise for nothing, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. We have no problem talking about this woman because she's doing a lot. Allysin Kay is our guest on the podcast today.
Yes. Current one half of the WSU Tag Team Champions with Sassy Steffi, and current AIW Absolute Women's Champion. Someone who has, in her career, held 2 title belts, and she's never actually lost a title match.
Oh, God, that's true.
How about that for a little bit of trivia for you?
She's also the 3rd member of the Midwest Militia for us to speak to, so that means we've completed the trifecta. If you're interested, the previous interviews are with Sassy Steffi on episode 15, and then also with Jessica Havoc, which was a little bit more recently. It was earlier on this year for episode 36.
Episode 15, you say?
Such a long time ago.
We were so young.
And stupid and impressionable, and we needed the money.
Yes. But no, we hope you enjoy it. Allysin Kay was one of our picks for having had a great 6 months so far. The first 6 months of 2012 have been pretty spectacular, and they look to be continuing those spectacular months as we go into the second half of the year. She was announced as debuting for Shimmer later in the year. She'll be back at Shine again next month. She's got a cage match next weekend. She's got all sorts of stuff coming up. But before we get to her, got a couple of things we want to talk about first of all. And first is, on the last show we talked to Saraya Knight.
Yeah, we did a bit.
Well, she talked at us a lot as well.
Yeah.
That happens quite a lot too. But we love Saraya. She's, I don't know, I think I probably can say this. She's probably our favourite guest because she's always got great stories to share. And last week, a lot of the stuff we talked about, certainly at the start of the podcast, was the then upcoming documentary, Wrestling with My Family, The Wrestlers, it was called.
Yeah, there was a little bit of, maybe a little bit of friction, you might say, ahead of time from Saraya herself, who said that she wasn't happy with the initial preview cut which she watched, and there was going to be changes to it. Now, we don't know exactly how many changes were made, how many changes weren't, what those changes even were.
I think some of the things that she talked about were still in there, and I think some of the things she talked about perhaps had been toned down or changed. But either way, regardless of what Saraya thought about everything, the reaction from everybody that's watched it has been pretty much unanimously positive.
Very much so. I think if you haven't seen it, it is still available to watch on the YouTube. You can see the UK and non-UK versions if you click into the podcast pages and click on the Wow Podcast 43. They're both there to take a look, so you can have a look for yourself and decide. But I remember watching it, and I thought it was a really touching piece. And, well, I know as a wrestling fan, when you see something about wrestling on mainstream TV, you kind of wonder how they're going to treat it. And most of the time they treat it as a bit of a joke and they don't give it that much respect. And that wasn't the case with this one at all. In fact, they barely even talked about wrestling as an entertainment factor itself. It was just the background for the circle, the main center of the story, which was about the family itself.
Yeah, I mean, the show actually started, the first person you saw on the show was Giant Haystacks, which, you know, along with Big Daddy, those are the
never a good start.
Those are the two guys that will forever be associated with British wrestling, and you kind of think, oh, it's going to be like, look at how good it used to be, look at how bad it is now. And, it wasn't really majorly mentioned. I mean, the story was very much one of a family. And I'll tell you what I was quite happy with and what I really enjoyed was the fact that it wasn't just Rhea's story, i.e. Brittany Knight, now known as Paige. It was also Zach's story as well, every bit as much. And while Rhea did make it to WWE, Zach, as we speak, still has not. But I mean, the first half of the show was very much, I think, the Zach story, and I think you couldn't help but feel sympathy for the guy. Here's a guy who was born into their business, who's wrestled since he was, to use the old Roddy Piperism, knee high to a grasshopper. Here's somebody who had the dream to go to WWE his entire life, and all of a sudden his little sister, who for most of her life didn't really care that much about it, but then all of a sudden decided that actually I do like this, became much better than him immediately, and got a job with WWE ahead of him. And I think the really telling bit was the bit when he said, you know, I wanted to be the guy to go there, and I wanted her to follow my footsteps, not the other way around. And that was the kind of thing. It's like he didn't resent his sister for it, but the brotherly, sisterly rivalry that's always going to be there. And I'm an only child, so I'm assuming here in this one I know, but that sibling rivalry, you couldn't help but think, hang on, I wanted to do it first. And it was a sympathetic story, and I think Zach came off really well, and Rhea did as well. In fact, I think that's the good thing, is that everyone came off well.
Yeah.
I think of the main family members, I mean, Roy was in it only a small amount. Nikki, as a peripheral family member, was only in it a small amount. But of the main four that were featured, everybody, I thought, came off well. They all came off as a loving family member with their heads screwed on.
On the last podcast, Saraya talked about how I will cry when watching it, and I didn't, but I was pretty damn close. There was that moment in the airport,
yes,
where they're doing their goodbyes, and that's really touching, because you see two parents who are immensely proud of their daughter and immensely happy for her, but at the same time very, very sad that this really, really strong family unit is being splintered.
Yes, and Ricky and Saraya both taking it differently, but both as hard as each other. You know, Ricky trying to, I guess, be the more traditional stiff upper lip about it, and trying to rationalize it, that, you know, it's something that has to happen. But Saraya, I guess, just kind of almost like refusing to believe it's going to happen. And yeah, Rick, I mean, he cracked me up, as he is wont to do. But he cracked me up then when he was, you know, everyone had tears in their eyes, and he turned around and he called Zach a lazy twat. It was like, I couldn't help but laugh. That was perfect. That was just the juxtaposition of that really telling family moment, that really sad moment, and then that bit of humor. I thought was really good. But yeah, is it the best? Is it the best documentary about wrestling ever? I don't know, but
I would disagree.
Well, I was going to say, is it? That's the question. Is it the best documentary ever about wrestling? I don't know, but for what it did in an hour as a TV show, I thought it did really, really well.
I don't think it's the best wrestling documentary ever, because it's not really a documentary about wrestling.
Yeah.
I think it's a documentary about family and people, and you know, these aren't people who have huge amounts of money and living in palatial lifestyles or anything like that, but they are sort of rich in togetherness, and I think that bond that they have, it just means that you don't need all the kind of peripheries and things like that. You don't need all the big cars and the big homes and the pools and stuff. It's nice, I guess, but yeah, I say I guess because I don't really know myself. But you know, it's I think if you've got people who care about you, then you're definitely a rich person.
That's very poetic, Mr. Burton.
I do want that pool, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But yeah, it's still on YouTube, like you say. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, in fact, go and listen to the podcast first of all. If you haven't listened to that, then go and watch the actual documentary. And yeah, I think you'll get a good, and especially if you've only come across Saraya of late in Shimmer and some of the stuff that she's done, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for you to get a look at the person behind the character.
She'll still pull your face off.
Yeah, she will. Yeah, she will. Yeah, no one's safe on that one. But yeah, check it out. Check it out. One little bit of business then before we go on to get Allysin Kay on the show, who incidentally is another person who would pull your face off given half the chance. I'm not sure we're taking our life in our hands with these interviews at the minute. It's a good job they're at the end of the line, that's all I'm saying.
I'm not doing it in person.
That's right. The other bit of business is this. We always encourage you to go and check out iTunes and subscribe on iTunes. Because, I mean, why not? It means you get all of the Women of Wrestling podcasts directly to your mobile device or your computer immediately. You never miss one. It's there. You don't have to worry about downloading it and thinking, oh, where did I download it to? It's there. You know where it is. But one thing that I also want to encourage people to do is don't forget about the website as well. And I think, for the most part, you're not, because our statistics, our website statistics are going up and up and up. We're really pleased with that. But if you do just listen to this on iTunes, go and check out what we do on the website, because you're missing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, every Tuesday we've got a newsletter just compiling all the stuff which we necessarily didn't think was worth putting a big article about, but still are newsworthy things. So we have that in what's known as the Ring Bells Roundup. That comes every Tuesday. Every Wednesday we've got a video from the past that we try and knock up, called the retro as well, so you can get a bit of history. Every weekend as well, we're always throwing up videos, and we also throw up videos in the week too, in case there's anything that's interesting that comes up. And there's also audio shows which aren't available on iTunes, which are only available to download off the website. For example, this week we've spoken to Australian wrestler Michelle K. Hasluck. A couple of weeks ago, we spoke to Leva Bates. You can go back. They're still all there. We've got ones with Nikki Nitro. We've got Taylor Hendricks from April, Celicia Sparks, Amazon Aisha Ray, Alida Ortiz, Tara. These are all on the website and aren't available on iTunes. So go back, take a look, click on the audio section, which is on the right-hand side of the categories, and they're all there for you to listen to.
Yes. And one other thing we do as well is we got some regular contributors. Courtney Rush is our podcasting queen. She was too good for just the Winter Wrestling podcast. She's got her own Rush Hour podcast. We've also got Madison Eagles, who blogs about what's going on in Australia and what's going on in her life. And if you ever want to know what's going on with her injuries and stuff, the first place that she told anybody about that was on her last blog on Ring Bells. And most recently, just this past week, we put up a new blog by Scottish wrestler Nikki Storm. And this is one that really, again, if you've not been at the website, please go and check this out. This is one that people need to look at, whether they're fans of wrestling or not, whether they're fans of Nikki Storm or not. If you don't know who Nikki Storm is, shame on you, but it doesn't matter. Go and check this out anyway. This is a public interest bit of work, and it's a story from her past about bullying, and that's a big touchy subject with a lot of people. It's something that a lot of people have suffered from in the past, and it's a lot of people who find it difficult to talk about stuff like that. And I know she has, and she's bared her soul with this piece. And I think she's hoping that it might bring a bit of support to people who are having the same problems. So please do us a favour, go and check that out. That's Nikki Storm's Storm Warning.
Yeah, the thing about the Nikki Storm piece is I was talking to Nikki for about 2 or 3 days, asking her, because she sent the blog through, and we talked about whether she wanted to be this open with everybody. And she did. She was very happy with it. She said, look, this is something that I want to do. This is something that I want to put out there. And I think it's going to not only help me to write it, but also help other people who will read it and maybe haven't had the chance or maybe the courage to speak out about it. So she says, if it helps one person, then I feel like I've done my job. So let's hope that it is helping people. And if it'd be really good for you to have a read of it as well, because even if you're not that knowledgeable about Nikki Storm, what she's saying is quite universal.
We're not going to pretend what we do on this wacky little website of ours is massively important as far as social commentary is concerned, but this is one that actually, you know what, you should probably go and check out, and it might be one of those things that does mean a lot to you or somebody else that you know. So, check it out. But, until then, you've already got the podcast on, you may as well kick back, put your feet up, and get ready for Allysin Kay. Okay, and we are back on the Women of Wrestling podcast with our guest at this time, the current AIW Absolute Women's Champion and one half of the WSU Tag Team Champions. From Detroit Rock City, the AK-47 of professional wrestling, Allysin Kay. What an introduction. Welcome to the show, Allysin.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you finally on the show. You were saying it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. We get to complete our set of Midwest Militia.
Yes. Save the best for last. Just kidding.
Well, that's going to ruffle a feather or two.
No, they know I love them.
Well, you know, you say about saving the best to last and stuff like that. I think, to be honest with you, you know, if we had talked to you, say, 9 months ago, this might be quite a short podcast. But, you know, speaking to you now, you're one of the people who, and we highlighted this recently on the website, who's had a pretty spectacular 2012. You've done a lot to raise your profile. You've worked a bunch of different places. You've really moved up in a lot of people's minds as far as professional wrestling is concerned. Does that put a lot more pressure on you now when you get step in the ring? People actually have got a certain expectation of an Allysin Kay match now.
I wouldn't say it puts more pressure on me. I'm very confident in what I do. I do want to say I have read the write-ups that you've written, and I do really appreciate it. You're very kind. I wouldn't say it puts more pressure on me, per se. But it definitely increased the bar. And I also agree that if this podcast had taken place 9 months ago, or however long ago, it would be very short. I think a lot has changed within this last year, since January. It all started in January, really.
Yeah, I mean it's been a pretty interesting rise. I mean we'll start just with most recently. I mean last weekend you were down in Florida for the debut of Shine.
Yeah.
We got to team up with Taylor Made. Tell us about your experiences with Shine. I mean that was a debut company, a startup. What did you make of the setup they had down there, and what did you make of the show in general?
That whole weekend was just such a blast. I had so much fun. It was such a great experience. We really had I wouldn't say, it's not that we had no expectations, but I really didn't know what to expect since it is a new company. We had no idea going into this what was going to happen, what the outcome was going to be, how the draw was going to be, how things were going to be run. And it was just so much more than we could have expected. It was an amazing experience. Taylor Made, she's something else. She's awesome. She is from the Midwest, I will have you know.
Indeed.
Yes, we're Taylor Made and I, because I know this question is going to come up too. We're very similar, and we knew going down to Florida. A lot of those girls are local, and I learned from my mistakes with New York and New Jersey, if you will. Jessica and Stephanie and I, we joined forces after we were already in WSU, after we were, I guess, singled out, if you will. Whereas Taylor Made and I went down to Florida thinking, okay, we're from the Midwest. Okay, we're going to team up, and we're not going to let these girls single us out. So there you have it. Made in Sin.
So did you two as a team, did that come from you guys then, rather than the bookers?
We wanted to be a team, yeah.
Why is that though? I mean, why is it that you decided that you wanted to team up like this? Because, like you say, you see something in Taylor Made as well. I guess tag team wrestling seems to be a bit of your thing. So did you want to introduce yourself to an audience like that as a team, that making things a little bit different to what people kind of expect of Allysin Kay?
Like I said, Taylor and I, we wanted to team up. We wanted to have a backup plan, I guess you could say, going down there I've never been to Tampa. She had never been to Tampa. We really were just looking for that backup, and we found it in each other. as far as tag team wrestling, it's actually funny that you would say it's my thing because I never thought of tag team wrestling as my thing. Now, obviously that has changed very recently since I'm tag team champions with Stephanie in WSU. I have always enjoyed tag team wrestling. I've always been a huge fan of tag team wrestling. I just never physically did it myself. And it's like learning a whole new world. And I feel like if you watch, I'm a big fan of like old school tag team wrestling, like Brainbusters, my favorite.
Oh, okay,
Like
awesome.
1980s tag team, yeah. I watch a lot of that, and I miss that when I watch tag team wrestling nowadays. And I'm still getting the hang of it, and I'm getting used to it. But I really want to bring back that mentality as far as tag team wrestling goes.
It's almost a lost art, isn't it?
It is.
Well, it certainly is in WWE anyway. Yes.
Do they even have tag teams anymore?
I think
They do, but they all get battered by Big Show.
Oh, okay.
if you like, yeah. Okay, that's cool. And the other thing as well with Shine that I liked, and that was it was a chance to see you in a different environment with a different partner as well. Obviously, you've become very well known as being part of the Midwest Militia, but with TaylorMade, it was a different dynamic. It was a different team. It's interesting to note though that for Shine 2 next month. Both Jessica Havoc and Sassy Steffi will be down in Shine as well. It raises some interesting questions as far as where you go from there.
Well, Taylor and I are already a team down there, and we're going to stick with that. Jessica and Stephanie, I mean, everyone knows we're the Midwest Militia. You can't just not acknowledge that. We will always have each other's backs. And they know about my partnership with TaylorMade, and they respect that. And they're going to go down there. They're going to do their thing. They know I'm there when they need me, and vice versa.
I guess with that as well, it's one of those things that, like you say, people kind of expect Allysin Kay, Steffi, and Jessica Havoc to be a team as the Militia, no matter which promotion it's in, really. And it's almost maybe throwing people off a little bit to say, hey, I'm Allysin Kay, and even though I am part of the Midwest Militia, I've also got my own interests and my own directions as well. And I guess it's just adding more elements to your CV, I suppose, what you can do and what you can show people that you can do.
I agree. I'm a very spontaneous person, and I like to surprise people.
So with Shine 2 then, what kind of surprises could we be looking forward to? Go on, give us something.
Well, no, I couldn't tell you. That is not a surprise.
Oh, you can tell us a little hint or something.
Nah, I can't do that.
Oh.
She's playing hardball.
Okay.
I always have something up my sleeve, just know that.
Okay. Well, look, here's the other thing, another one of the main reasons that we had you on, and that's to talk about AIW, because AIW has really been the place where I've really seen you shine this year, and sort of make a name for yourself as a singles wrestler. And you talked about everything changed at the start of the year, and everything changed really with the match where your nose got broken. I mean, that's like, bizarrely enough, one of the luckier breaks in your life. But I mean, tell people about that. Tell people about the story about your nose being broken at Girls Night Out 5.
I've actually said the same exact thing quite often to a lot of people, that out of all the injuries that could have happened, my nose being broken really was probably the best injury that I could have received. It wasn't a leg, it wasn't an arm, it wasn't a neck or a concussion. It was something where I could still function for the most part in everyday life. So in that aspect, it was lucky. As far as Mia, I feel like I've said in the past to different, interviews or whatever, all I really have to say about her. But I think what hurt the most, more than getting my nose shattered, was how she reacted to it. I know that in this business, shit happens. You get hurt. People aren't nice. I understand. But I would have never taken it as lightly as she did. And, yeah, it was more of disbelief at first. And then it was anger. And now it's just like, I don't know. I guess people think that, well, I guess I should break it down for the people who don't know, if they don't know. But Girls Night Out 5 in January, Mia threw a kick that caught me in the face. I ended up having to go to the hospital immediately after the match. The break happened at the beginning of the match. I still pushed through, finished the match, didn't win, obviously, but went to the hospital right after the match. They told me that my nose was broken in, she said, a few places, so I just say 3. She said my nose was broken in a few places after she looked at the x-ray. I believe it was April when Girls Night Out 6 took place. I dreamt about that match. Ever since January, every night I would dream about what happened in January up until Girls Night Out 6. And I just envisioned everything I wanted to do to Mia. I just pictured her, like how she would look, the looks on her face up until the very night of that match. And I just remember staring at her from across the ring for what seemed like an eternity. It was like disbelief. Like, you dream about something for so long, and then it finally happens, and it's just surreal. Like, no matter what would have happened in that match, I don't think anything could have lived up to what I had envisioned for all that time, for those 4 months or so. And so the match came and went. Fans Bring the Weapons was Girls Night Out 6, which was also for the Women's Championship that Mickey Knuckles vacated. And everyone knows now I won, which, yeah, I'm happy about. But at the same time, I don't feel like I got justice that I deserve. I don't feel like all that build in my mind for months and months about getting revenge on Mia finally. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I can't say I wanted to break her nose too. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to get my hands on her. And then the match came and it went and I felt nothing. I felt like Girls Night Out 6, that Fans Bring the Weapons match, I feel like that never even happened. It was just like a blur. It's like what I imagine girls when they think about their wedding day. You know, they dream about it and dream about it, and then they're all depressed because they dreamt about it all this time and it never lived up to the hype. That's how I feel about that match. And that's the real reason why I agreed to this Girls Night Out 7 match, because I still feel like I have something to prove against her. In Girls Night Out 6, I had Mia exactly where I wanted her. She went for her Sky Yim, I think it's called, that crazy shit she does off the top rope. She missed it. I had the advantage. I had her where I wanted her. And then Flexor Industries, which I told them not to interfere, and they decided to come out anyway. So now it looks like I didn't win the match on my own. All that time that I've been waiting for this match, and I don't even get the satisfaction to say that I beat her fair and square. So yeah, I have the championship, and yeah, I'm happy about it, but I'm bloodthirsty. And I don't even know what's going to happen in this cage match on August 4th. It is next week. In 1 week, I'm going to have Mia Yim in a cage. And I don't think people understand the capacity of this match. On a personal level, this could very well be the biggest match of my career ever on a personal level. And even on a professional level, this will be the biggest match of my career to date once it happens. One thing I think that's really crazy about Girls Night Out 6 is a lot of people thought that match was so intense. And it was, but when I watch it back, I'm not happy with it. I feel like my kick should have been harder. My choke should have been tighter. There was not enough damage done. Mia walked out of that match, and that right there just pissed me off, just watching it back. And about people thinking it was so crazy, if you watch it back, I mean, really, count the weapons that we actually used. You know? The ones that weren't just implied. I think I hit her with a broom, and I hit her with a chair, which wasn't even a weapon that a fan brought. And then she hit me with a light tube. I am very proud of that match in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I don't think people understand that compared to like this cage match, man, this cage match is going to make Machetes and light tubes seem merciful.
Wow. Cage matches are quite rare, especially in the independent wrestling, and even more rare in independent women's wrestling. How have you prepared for doing something like a cage match and having that almost that sense of being very constricting, that almost claustrophobic sense of being in the cage?
Well, I'm definitely not claustrophobic, and I have been in the cage before. That's one advantage that I have over Mia. She's never been in a cage match, whereas I have. If you recall War Games last November in WSU.
Mm.
That cage was a little different, and I don't know how this cage is going to be. I don't think it has a top. I believe it's open. But yeah, I'm not claustrophobic, and I have a strategy.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about Mia Yim as well, because I'm looking at the article or the interview which you took part with Honor Magazine, and it's written in bold here. It says, "I do not respect Mia Yim." Now, recently we've had the Ultimate Fighting Championship have a lot of these sort of personal build-ups as far as matches and feuds and perceived anger is concerned. And then as soon as the match is over, they all hug and says, "Yeah, it was all for the cameras, and it was all to try and sell tickets and pay-per-view buys and things like that." How much of your statements, "I do not respect Mia Yim," is maybe trying to sell some tickets, and how much of it is just your real feelings?
No, that's 100% my feeling. I do not respect Mia Yim at all. I know that she's a tough competitor. She's not to be taken lightly. That I will give her. I've been in the ring with her. That I understand. But as a person, I do not respect her.
Is that after the actual nose-breaking incident? Does it all stem from that, or was it a case before that you thought, well, I don't know what it is with this girl?
No, actually, from the beginning, I took a liking to her. I felt indifferent, really. It's completely because of the whole nose incident when she broke my nose. She broke my nose. And then she wanted to make light of it and joke about it and say she's not sorry. And I don't know.
You did have a back and forth on Twitter about it as well.
Yeah. She claims that she's not reckless, but then she'll make comments about implying like it was on purpose or something, which I don't know that it was on purpose, but now that it happened, she's going to pretend like she did it on purpose. But then she backs out and says she didn't do it on purpose and she's not reckless. And I don't know, man. You see the pictures of my nose? It looks pretty reckless to me.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about that actually, and you mentioned Twitter there as well. You said you went straight to hospital after the match. That's not entirely true. You made sure you got a picture to get tweeted around the world first, and it got a massive reaction. That's a proper old school thing to do. Make sure you get this documented.
Yes, that picture was taken by John Thorne, and that was literally, I swear on everything, on my way out the door. Like right. I had grabbed my bag, walking. I was in the hallway about to leave, and he's like, "Hey, hold on a second." Takes a picture. All right.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. You got to do that. Make sure you document these things. But so you went off to hospital, you got your nose taken care of, and then I guess you went back online and to me, tell us about the reaction you got then from Twitter and people who saw that, because I think loads of people were just like, whoa, because it's not the sort of visual that you immediately expect to turn on Twitter and see. I think you shocked a lot of people that day, and a lot of people probably for the first time thought, hang on, who's this?
Yeah, they Thorne tweeted that picture that same night. He also posted it to Facebook. I'll get to that in a second. I tweeted a picture of the day after. That was the picture that I tweeted. That one is a lot worse than the actual night of. The night of, a lot of people even looked at that picture. They're like, that's fake. Wrestling's fake. That's ketchup. That's fake blood. Really? Let me show you this picture of my face after, asshole. My face, I look like Rocky Dennis, legit. Like, I actually took a picture of Rocky Dennis and copied it next to my face, and we're, like, identical. The picture of my swollen face, I had 2 black eyes. The bridge of my nose is, like, indistinguishable. And I posted that with a caption, "Wrestling is fake." I think it got close to, like, 50 retweets or something, and it definitely got a big reaction. But I was trying to prove a point to the people who were saying that it was fake. Then let's go back to Facebook. I fucking hate Facebook. Anyway, I hate that people can comment on statuses and on pictures. Like, I don't care what you have to say, bro. Like, you can write to me, but I hate just seeing people like get that satisfaction of starting like a conversation, under a status or a picture. But anyway, so Thorne posted this picture to Facebook, and there are just, a lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy, or that's gross, or they're hardcore, or whatever. Then there are people that are like, well, what kind of sense does this make? Oh, wow, that's really cool. Yeah, just potato work. That's not really working. You fucking idiot. Do you think that I purposely was like, hey, Mia, break my nose because I want to prove to everyone how fucking tough I am? You're an idiot. That pissed me off. And it actually took everything in my being to not just go on a rant on that Facebook. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give them the satisfaction. Whatever.
With that broken nose as well, it wasn't long before you were back in the ring because, like I said, it was broken in a few places. Your eyes were really swollen. It must have sucked for a good couple of weeks having that. And yet you were back in the ring at 2CW's Girls Grand Prix about a month later. I mean, were you healed by that point?
I was not fully healed. And the doctor told me, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks. And I was back in the ring in 4 or 5, maybe. And I know it's not wise, but I already had that booking. And I was not about to give it up.
Because, oh, no, you're wrestling Del Rey.
Yes. So I'm thinking, like, okay, I have this booking. I'm wrestling Sarah Del Rey for the first time. I'm not going to miss out on this. And at the same time, I'm like, it's my first match back. I'm not fully healed, and I'm wrestling Sarah Del Rey. Why? Why am I doing this? And, yeah, it was terrifying. My intention was actually that pink mask. That's when I started wearing the pink mask, the Hannibal Lecter style mask. And my intention was to wear it while wrestling. And that just didn't work out. Because the whole nose guard thing, ugh, I didn't want to do the whole, like, oh, she's being Cody Rhodes. So I went a little different route.
Is it quite hard to breathe with that, then?
It's not, really. It's not that restricting. But I definitely do like, I wouldn't want to wrestle with it on. I think the majority of my appeal is the things that I say, the facial expressions that I make. And if I don't have that, I don't know if I have much, to be honest.
Oh, I think you sell yourself quite short because I think, well, with that match against Del Rey at Girls Grand Prix, I was the one who watched and reviewed the DVD, and I thought it was the match of the night. And I think that was when that kind of moment where you just think, Allysin Kay, we're talking about the 6 to 8 months that you've had. This is somebody who you should really just keep an eye on, and this is someone who's going to be doing things. And I think that match just kind of demonstrated that you weren't there to be a bit part, and you weren't there to just make up the numbers.
I really do appreciate that. That match, I mean, it was disappointing to me because I felt like it just, once again, something that just flew by. Like in the blink of an eye, it was over. And I just envisioned it a certain way, and it didn't happen that way, and I lost, and I was still injured. So, yeah, I was surprised when I read that review, actually, with all that talent that was on the show, but I really do appreciate that.
I think it was because, like you said, you have a point to prove with that, and this was someone who you wanted to wrestle, and you were going to make a big point about it. That I think that showed through, and I think it was that desire that was a real selling point for it.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I had something to prove.
Sounds like fond memories there.
Yeah, I'm like, reminiscing. I just remember the one thing that stands out in my mind, and I think somebody actually put a clip on YouTube, was I went to pick Del Rey up for a Samoan drop, and I just completely like lifted her dead weight. And everyone, yeah, that was interesting.
That was really impressive. If anybody hasn't seen Girls Grand Prix, it's still available to buy from 2CW's website.
Yeah, plug that shit.
Indeed. Well, look, while we're in a reminiscing mood, and that's kind of what this show is all about. I mean, let's give people a bit of an understanding of where you get started and how you get into wrestling, and let's dial it right back to the beginning. Were you always a wrestling fan growing up?
I was. I watched wrestling from a very young age with my dad, but I don't really remember much back then. But I was probably around 9 or 10, and one of my older cousins was watching wrestling, and so we just, he was a little, like 3 years older than me, so everything he did was just so cool. And so we started, we as in my brother and me, started watching wrestling with him, and we're hooked. We were hooked for a long time, and then they fell out of it. I stayed with it.
Who were your favorites back in the day?
Oh man, I can't tell you that because you're gonna judge me.
Oh
No,
that's
go for it.
That's exactly why I want to know if you were like I want to know if you were like a Steve Blackman fan or something.
Okay,
Ultimate
Steve Blackman and
respect
Al
if you're a
Snow
Steve
were
Blackman fan.
Steve Blackman and Al Snow were sweet together.
Yeah, go on.
But oh man, I don't know. Let me think. I had a lot of favorites. I remember one of my early favorites being Val Venus.
Okay.
Val Venus. I remember being a huge Road Dogg fan, which I will have you know, that's actually one of the first things that Jessica and I, maybe not one of the first things, but that Jessica and I found out that we had in common. Just so random that we were both huge Road Dogg fans when we were like 12. That's just so random to me. But yes, and then I must have been like 13. I went through the Lita phase. I did. I went through the Lita phase. I was obsessed with Lita.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I'm just saying. Like, it just seems like
You always make it sound like you're a little bit guilty about saying it.
well, if you understood like the level of my obsession.
Okay.
You were like AJ crying when Lita signed that autograph for her, weren't you?
No,
You're that
you know
level
what?
of fan.
Honestly, I don't know what I would have done if I ever met Lita, but it was Lita and Jeff Hardy. So I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry, but it was Lita and Jeff Hardy I was obsessed with.
Oh, Rebby Sky's gonna beat you.
See, that's why I feel like saying I'm a Lita fan, I'm like, oh man, Rebby's gonna hear this and she's gonna be like, you bitch.
Oh, if we get choice quotes of this to use, that might be one of them.
That's right.
You talked about the Brainbusters, and I know this is quite interesting because you would have been about 2 when the Brainbusters were in the WWF, and you said you started watching when about 8 or 9. So, as a wrestling fan, it sounds like you went back in history and studied.
Yes. Actually, okay, I watched with my dad when I was younger, so I probably was around 2. Maybe that's why when I start watching now, they just like stuck with me. Maybe I watched them when I was like 2. But when I really started getting into wrestling, like with my cousin, I was 9, around that age. It was like, the Attitude Era, of course. When I definitely became a fan of the Brainbusters after I started training. That's when I became a fan of the Brainbusters. When I was trained very old school, and my trainers, they're huge, like, that's like the wrestling they watch, is 1980s wrestling. And it just stuck with me, like the Brainbusters. I loved their psychology and everything about the littlest things that they would sell. Like the littlest facial expressions they would make are just amazing.
I like to think that any wrestling trainer worth his salt, or his or her salt, would just give everybody a copy of the best of the Brainbusters and say, go home and study that for about 3 months and then come back to me.
Right.
I think the wrestling world would be a much better place if that was the case. But yeah,
Only if after the study you did essay questions for an exam. No multiple choice, essay questions.
Yes, I agree.
I'm done with this. So yeah, I mean, how do you go from wrestling fan to being wrestler? Was that always in your head when you were going through that Lita phase? Were you thinking I can do that, or was there some part then later on you kind of thought, okay, I have the opportunity to do this, why not?
It was definitely the Lita phase. I can't even lie. That's what did it. Like I decided when I was like 13 years old, I am going to be a wrestler no matter what. And I would argue with my mom all the time. She's like, no, you're going to grow out of it. You're not going to like wrestling in a couple years. And to a certain extent, she was almost right, because there was a time, and it was probably around my senior year in high school, I actually fell out of the wrestling scene for a little bit. And then I must have been 19 or 20, and I just started watching it. I just picked right back up. It just became like, it went right back into everything. So there is a period of time where I don't remember things like, oh yeah, you remember in 2004 when this happened? I'm like, no.
God, I can't even off the top of my head even think about what happened in 2004.
Eddie
Yeah.
Guerrero v. Brock Lesnar.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yep, right over my head.
See, that was my time. That was a great time. But with you getting back into it, what then led to you saying, okay, I'm enjoying this again. I think I can do this.
I think I was at a point in my life where, and it's crazy to say this, like I was at a point in my life because I was only like 20. So it sounds like I'm having a midlife crisis.
You're at a
It's like
crossroads.
yeah, I was at a crossroads when I was 20 years of age. It was like a midlife crisis. And I hated, I didn't hate my life or anything, but I hated like just everything I was doing. Like I hated my job. I hated where I lived. What am I doing? What do I want to do with my life? And I'm thinking about it. And like the only thing I've ever really wanted to be is a wrestler. I never wanted to be a princess. I never wanted to be a singer, which is good because I'm terrible at it. I never wanted to be like, I can't, even when I was in college, I was kind of just like, maybe I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. But the only thing I could ever remember having a passion for was when I wanted to be a wrestler. And that passion, as soon as I started watching again, that fire ignited and I regained that passion. And I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
And so that was about summer of 2008. I know it's not exactly the fountain of all correct information, but I've got your Wikipedia page up here.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. God knows who wrote this, but apparently there's not enough.
I actually do know who wrote it.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, let them know that there needs to be a few more references and external links because they're thinking about deleting it. But at this point in time, it says here that you started training in about summer of 2008. And it also says there's about 30 people who were in your class. 8 graduated. And you were one of 2 females. Is that about right, or is this somebody who's gone in there and changed it?
That's completely accurate.
So, just out of curiosity, who was the other female?
Her name is Siobhan Norell, and she actually wrestled she came down to MCW, which is the promotion in, where was it at the time? Not Massillon, but, it's been so long. But Ohio, where it's Jessica's hometown promotion, MCW.
Mm.
And she has been down there. Other than that, she just wrestled for the promotion that we trained with up in Detroit. So she, let's see. Yeah, that's the only 2 that she's wrestled with, but I miss her. She's awesome. She has a family now, so I think she's actually currently pregnant, so that's one reason why she's not wrestling right now.
Didn't stop Sweet Soraya. but then she only knew she was pregnant by accident, so she didn't know she was pregnant at the time.
That's crazy. I think I heard about that.
Yeah, she wrestled until she was about 6 months pregnant with Soraya Jade, which is incredible.
That is incredible.
Yes.
That podcast's still available for download, ladies and gents. I'm just doing all the plugs today.
Do it.
Can I get it for free? Oh wait,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Is it already free?
It's already free, but
well,
it's worth $0.
Let's just pretend everyone else has to pay and I get it for free.
It's worth $1 million, but you get it for free.
I'm sure it is. I want to listen to it.
Do it. A question I've got. Actually, no. I know Lee wants to ask this question. Go on, Lee.
This is
you know what I was going to ask, but I'm going to let you do it.
Absolutely, and thank you very much. Your tattoo, the one down your midsection.
Yep, the only one I got.
That is the most distinctive tattoo I think I've ever seen.
I thought you were going to say disgusting. I'm like, damn.
No.
That's cold.
No. I think that goes back to our conversation on Twitter the other day when I was talking about boob tattoos that I was a little bit unsure about. And you said tittu, which I didn't even know was a term.
Yes, tittu. The tit tattoo.
Every day's a school day. But your tattoo is so different to all the stuff that you've seen, because you see a lot of stuff with like the black lines around it and things like that. Yours is very colourful, very bright, and it's almost like Salvador Dali just took a paintbrush and just went to work on your midsection. Tell us a bit about this tattoo.
Oh no, you did not just mention Salvador Dali.
I think he did.
You know your way to my heart. Yes, this tattoo. This happened in, I believe, 2009. And I have a friend that is a tattoo artist, and I told him I want something down my side. So he drew me up a couple drawings, The first one is complete opposite of what I have now. And I wouldn't say I hated it in case he listens to this, but I didn't like the first one as much. It was all black, completely black, and it was like tribal. And when I saw tribal, I'm like, oh no, honey, this ain't 1990. We can't do that. And he drew me up this one. He got some inspiration from some magazine. It wasn't the tattoo I have. Like mine's completely original. It's his complete original drawing. But he got the inspiration for the colors from some tattoo magazine. And when he showed it to me, I loved it. Like the colors, I'm like, yes, I want to do that. And he was actually practicing I have no idea the terminology for tattoos, but some gray ink they use, because he did an outline at first, but the gray ink fades. So he had the outline, he colored it in, and then the gray faded, so it's all color instead of the outline, which is really interesting. But it took about 3 sessions. The first one was like 5 or 6 hours. It was not fun at all. But I feel like I can get through any pain after this. Break my nose, get this crazy tattoo. What's next? Childbirth, bring it on. No, not really. And you know, some people actually give me shit about the gear that I wear now because it's high-waisted. You know, it's that pinup-esque look, because it covers my tattoo. They're like, you can't cover that tattoo with this. They're like, you should show your tattoo, da-da-da. I agree. I hate covering it, but at the same time, as a heel, why would I accentuate something people like? So, whatever.
At least you've given it thought. I like that at least. But no, the tattoo's massively distinctive. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it as far as the colours. And it's like you said, obviously, because the outline faded, so you just have these solid colours, which is just really cool. So, yeah.
Thank you.
It's the way I initially recognised you. Just as saying, right, that's Allysin Cakes. I recognise that tattoo. It was something that was distinctive that I was able to just latch onto immediately.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that. I thought that too. I'm like, people will remember me. They'll remember the tattoo. Even people like backstage are like, hey, I remember you. Like they wait. I have, you know, my regular clothes on when I show up to a show, and they're just like, oh, hey, whatever, hi. Then I take my shirt off, my regular gear. They're like, oh, I know you.
I just like the idea that you're not known until you take your shirt off.
I know. I mean, it's all women, right?
Right, exactly. Well, now, so I mean, the early part of your career, I don't think probably a lot of people know about it, but you wrestled around, and you actually wrestled that same woman you talked about for quite a while at the start of your career as well. I mean, are there any early highlights of Allysin Kay that people need to track down? Is there anything from back in those days that you have particularly fond memories of?
Fond memories, yes. So many fond memories from BCWA. That's the promotion that I trained with, and they're no longer running. But things that I want people to track down, absolutely not. Do not track them down.
Okay, all right.
I have so many fond memories. I'm trying to think of some that I can say. I don't know. Just,
you can say anything.
Yeah, you want me to say anything? Do I want to say anything? I don't know.
Yes, you do.
But that's like where I think of it as where I was raised. You know, as far as wrestling is concerned, that's where I was raised. That's where I grew up, and that's my family. And yeah, I have a lot of fond memories. We had Siobhan Norell and I remember us having a strap match, and we tried to get like a leather strap, you know, that would connect to both of our arms, and we couldn't get one in time. So we just tied 2 belts around our wrists and just beat the shit out of each other. Which maybe doesn't sound to most as a fond memory, but yeah. If anything is going to bring you close, it's beating the shit out of each other with the belt. Which, I will have you know, Jessica and I had a similar match in MCW when we were feuding with belts. And I remember specifically, and she always brings this up to this day, where she turned around to where she was facing me, and I just hit her as hard as I could across her stomach instead of her back. And she's like, I just felt like I was going to puke. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But at the time, I wasn't sorry. But I am now. I'm sorry, Jessica.
Well, I think it's probably a fair point at this point we move on to talking about Jessica Havoc. I think, did you first... I mean, we kind of we've mentioned her in cameo up until now, but it's amazing that we got that far into an interview without really talking about her. I think, did you first come into contact with her at MCW then?
The first time I came into contact with Jessica was actually at AIW.
Oh, okay.
I first wrestled for Beyond Wrestling. I wrestled Jefferson Saint. John Thorne was there, and he asked me to come to AIW, and I was booked against Jessica, and that's how we met. And then from there, we ended up feuding in MCW, which is her hometown promotion.
And you guys wrestled all up and down the roads for quite a while, and eventually formed a tag team. But I mean, more than that, you guys formed a friendship, a genuine friendship. Was that immediate?
The connection was immediate, yes. The connection, it was just right there from the very get-go. I just knew I loved this girl. And I mean, obviously, you know, the whole relationship we have now, it takes time to build something like that. So I can't say we were just like that right off the bat, but it definitely happened very quickly. Like we just immediately.
It sounds like it probably went into overdrive when one of you shouted, "Oh, you didn't know."
Yeah, I'm like, we just gave each other that look. You know what? One of the first shows that we were feuding on, we feuded for Cleveland All Pro, which was JT Lightning's promotion. And I think it was the second show that we were on together where Road Dogg was actually there. And that's when we found out that we were both huge Road Dogg fans, because I'm like, he left the room and I'm like, I feel really dumb saying this, but I was like the hugest Road Dogg fan when I was like 13. And she's like, oh my gosh, so was I! And then we started laughing maniacally. Then we started doing the leg thing that he would do, because we're like in this little tiny room by ourselves. Then we start doing the suck it motion. We start like crotch chopping, and we're like cracking up, and we're like, because obviously you can tell we're just ridiculous like that. And I'm like, you can't do that on the show, okay? You can't do this. You can't say suck it because he's here. And then she just started going, suck it, and just crotch chopping herself. And then Road Dogg walked in.
Oh, brilliant. I hope that was going to happen.
Yes. And he looked at her. He just shook his head and just walked away. And then we just died.
Oh, dear. This sounds like the Allysin Danger / Ivory obsession with Ricky Steamboat.
Oh.
Perhaps, yes.
Maybe not just such a deep romantic desire, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you were like your Road Dogg is like, oh man, that man, yeah, he's beautiful, he's so hot.
When I was like 11, yeah, I was like, that's my boo. Road Dogg was my boo. Actually, how old was I? I had to have been, 11 or 12. My 7th grade school picture, which you will never see. I will see to it that you never see it. But my 7th grade school picture, I have a Road Dogg necklace that I made. It just says Road Dogg in beads.
Somebody find this. Somebody find this picture.
No. I'm sure it's like in the next room, but I'm going to burn them all.
Aww.
Watching WWF Attitude at the age of 11 or 12. Kind of says a lot about where Allysin Kay went, though.
Yeah, I can see that. My entire room was covered in posters. Like, I had a subscription to Raw and WWF/WWE magazine. So both magazines I had, I think, was it SmackDown magazine first? I don't remember, but they changed. Anyway, I had both subscriptions, and every cover I got, I would tear off, and I had a border around my ceiling of all these magazine covers, and it was on the top of my wall, and that led to on my ceiling, because I ran out of room, and my entire walls were just covered in all those posters that would come in the middle of the magazine, like any poster. There was one, I remember it was Stacy Keibler, who was just standing on a beach, basically butt-ass naked. She had, like, you know, her thong on or whatever, like the little G-string. And I put it up anyway just because it came in the magazine, and I actually cut out a paper smiley face and put it over her ass. But I like anything that was like Lita or the Hardys, I cut out, and I would like post all of my walls. It's so creepy saying that.
Did you put a smiley face over Matt Hardy?
No, I didn't put a smiley face over Matt Hardy. I will say I had more Jeff, though. I did have more Jeff.
Hi, Rebby. How are you, Rebby?
Anyway, let's.
You know what? If Rebby was there at the time instead of Lita, I would have been obsessed with Rebby.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
I love me some Rebby Sky. I will tell you that.
There you go. So
We skewed away from Havoc just briefly there.
We did skew away from her.
Oh,
Let's get back. Let's get back to her. You guys are again, as I say, a pretty impenetrable team at the minute. You guys are really close to each other, and you can tell it's a real friendship. What does she give you, and what has she given you as a performer? In the time that you've known her.
as far as like being a mentor,
Yeah, yeah.
I truly feel that Jessica Havoc has broken Allysin Kay out of her shell. Because when we were feuding, I wasn't the Allysin Kay that I am now. I mean, really, last year I wasn't the Allysin Kay I am now, but if you ever see footage of me from just back in the day, it's just completely different. And she really did bring that out in me. Because up until then, I was just so, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I always say default. I think of like, if you're playing, for example, like No Mercy for N64, the default characters that are just like, normal clothes, normal look, normal whatever. They just do the standards. That's how I feel that I was until I met her. Like, she brought out the best in me, which to other people probably think is the worst in me, but
She was the creator for the creator wrestler Allysin Kay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's cool.
This is why I find things so weird when you say that you don't primarily see yourself as a tag team wrestler, because you're in Team Be Jealous. There's a Midwest Militia now with Steffi, and now there's also Made in Sin. I mean, those three things pretty much define you, I guess.
Right, which is why I think it's so funny. Well, Team Be Jealous, I think we maybe had like one tag match. We wanted to be a tag team, but for whatever reason, we just never feuded with another girl tag team in MCW. So that's a story for another day. So we were more of like a stable, basically. And the Midwest Militia was also a stable at first. Now Steffi and I have won the tag belts, but when we first started, we had no idea that we were going to be branching off as a tag team. It was just a stable. Now this Made in Sin, that's a tag team from the beginning. But you have to also keep in mind, this whole tag team, it all happened this year for me. Like last year when the Midwest Militia formed, it was just a stable. It was March that we won the tag belt. So it's all very recent that I've really been focusing on tag team wrestling.
I think the last, speaking about since March, I think the last couple of WSU pay-per-views, you ended up working twice on both of them. I mean, WSU's certainly been that place where you've got an awful lot of chance to shine. It's changed hands recently to Drew Cordero of Beyond Wrestling, and you say you worked for Beyond way back in the day as well. But what's your initial thoughts, or what are your initial thoughts on that change, and where do you see WSU going? Are you excited about the future?
I am actually very excited about the future. When I first heard about the change, before any details were let out, I was honestly really disappointed, just because I feel like I love how things are going. I love Mick, and I'm just sad to see him go. But I am very excited for the future. I've talked to Drew on several occasions. I have faith in him as a promoter, and he has really good ideas. And I feel like we agreed on a lot. We had a long conversation one day. And the things that I don't like, he doesn't like. The things that I like, he does. And we seem to be on the same page. And I know that, I'm on the same page with Jessica. I'm on the same page with Stephanie. So, meaning he's on the same page with all of us. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I think that he'll even improve certain things that needed improvement, because, I mean, nothing's perfect, right? There were little areas that could use improvement, and I feel like he really will do that.
Sounds very much like how we thought about him. So we had him on the show soon after the announcement was made, and I think both Lee and I afterwards were both like, wow, we're impressed. This guy's got some good ideas. This guy's got this guy seems to know exactly what he wants, and seems to have a pretty good vision for what he can see WSU to become. I mean, I know it's early. As we talk, we still don't know the date of the next WSU show. But I mean, where do you see the Midwest Militia under the new WSU? Just still as you were, or I mean, are you looking at any changes going forward?
the Midwest Militia is not changing. That's for sure. Like, I don't. Some people, I understand why people view the Midwest Militia as a WSU product because that's where we started. But the Midwest Militia, that is our own concept. That's something that we wanted to do. That's something that we formed. That's something that we represent wherever we go. It's not just WSU, and nothing's going to change that. We're not going anywhere.
Okay. And in fact, not only are you not going anywhere, you're expanding as well. You guys recently debuted in NCW Femme Fatale.
Yes.
Up in Montreal, and I was there in March. Wasn't there for the last show though, but I mean, I thought it was a great setup in Montreal. What were your first impressions of working up there?
I really enjoyed Montreal, and I thought that Femme Fatales, they have their product on point. Like, they know what they're doing. Everything ran smoothly. It was a blast to be up there. It was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to Midwest Militia going back.
That sounds like a threat.
Oh, I don't make threats. I only make promises.
Okay, so you promise you'll be back then?
Yes.
All right, cool. Like the sound of that. Somewhere else we know that you're going to be soon, and that was announced last week, was that you would be going to Shimmer this October. You've been in Sparkle before. In fact, we had been there when you were on your Sparkle appearance last year. But Shimmer in October now. What are your thoughts on that going forward?
I didn't even know that they announced that until after the Shine match. I think someone was like, someone told me that they had announced it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm excited. There are a lot of opportunities, and I'm excited to go back and be on the Shimmer card.
We talked about this year being great for you so far. I mean, and I think that's another opportunity to expand your influence even further. Is there anything particular that you would be looking forward to there, or are you just going to take it as it comes?
I'm just kind of going with the flow because I have no idea, who I'm up against. I have no idea the plans, but I am taking it as it comes, and I mean, I'll make the best out of it. I am very excited. I'm very anxious. October seems so far.
Yeah, that is true. But you've got a busy old calendar coming up, haven't you?
I do. I think this entire month, I don't think I'm home at all on the weekends, but I like it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's better that than having days off.
Yeah, I don't know, because days off, they're kind of nice too. But
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Like, it's interesting. Like, this weekend, I'm going to Niagara Falls, and it's funny to tell people. I was just telling one of my friends that lives around here. She's just like, oh, I envy you. I want to travel, and I want to do this and that, and talking to someone who's not a wrestler, you sound like the most interesting person in the world.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, I'm going to New York, and then I'm going to Chicago next week, and then I'm going to Tennessee, and then I'm going to Montreal, then I'm going to, it's just every week you're going, oh, I'm flying down to Tampa, no big deal. I'm on this pay-per-view on the internet, and they just think it's so fascinating. And then if you meet another wrestler for the first time, and they're like, so what do you do? It's like, I feel like the most boring person in the world. I'm like, same thing as you, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do outside of wrestling? Nothing. So you have nothing. I have nothing to say.
You watch Brainbuster matches?
Yeah.
How's that not exciting?
It is very exciting. It better be exciting. Anyone who's not down with that is not down with me.
I'm down with that. I've got one thing I want to ask you about, actually. You're talking about how you're boring if it's not about wrestling and so on, but there's something because you said you hate Facebook, but you're very active on Twitter, and you're a lot of fun to follow on Twitter. Anybody who doesn't get on the bandwagon while there's still room. But earlier today you did a follow Friday for Jessica Havoc, unsurprisingly, and you said that the reason why you were hashtag FFing her today was because she made you laugh until you cried. And then you just did hashtag the incident.
Oh yeah.
Now I've got to know, and the thousands of people listening to this got to know.
Don't overstate how many people are listening.
What's the incident?
The millions of people watching online.
That's right.
Um,
What's the incident? Because this has got to be good. This has got to be good.
it is very good, but see, the thing
Oh,
is,
no, no, no buts.
there are some things that are better left unsaid, and there are some things like there's good heat and there's bad heat. So there are some things that just should not be said. But I will have you know that Jessica does amazing impressions. She will have you in stitches. Oh, just thinking about it now. What I was doing, I was actually sitting at a car dealership. See, now I'm like being real with you right now. This is real life. I was sitting in a car dealership texting Jessica, and we're just going back and forth about this plan we have. And I can't reveal the plan. I'm sorry. But we're going back and forth about this plan. I'm like, I have this random idea. And then she's like, yes, I love it. And then she starts writing, ha, 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 like a million ha's. And I know that she's really laughing. I can just picture her laughing. And then I write it back to her. And then we just keep going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited. And she's like, oh, this is awesome. You're a genius. And then, what was it? She says, I keep writing I'm trying not to laugh because I'm sitting in this dealership and people are looking at me. And I'm trying to stifle myself. But the more I stifle it, the more I laugh. So I'm going from like a giggle to maniacal laughter. And people are looking over at me. And I'm in tears. And she writes, like, I'm having a seizure. I'm laughing so hard. And that just set me off. Imagining her like convulsing. Okay, obviously I'm demented. I'm sorry. But yes, that's our back and forth. That's how our back and forth goes.
I see. So,
As far as the incident, and actually the incident is separate from that, but it's just another impression she does of someone that is hilarious and spot on. She's so good at it. She is so good at it that it just kills me every time. Just imagining her doing this just sets me off.
we may have to get her back on another podcast just to do impressions.
I don't know if she'll ever do that impression though. Maybe one day. Maybe
Will
one day.
will you tell us who she was doing the impression of after we're done with the podcast?
Possibly.
I'm too curious to not know.
Ah, Lord. Anyway, if you want to ask the Midwest Militia in question, when's the next time you guys are getting together for a show?
Oh, let me think. Man.
Shine 2, probably?
Yeah, I think so. I think Shine's the next time we'll all be together. And then, I think that's it.
Okay.
The next one, anyway.
Well, let's do a quick plug for what you have got coming up. I mean, first and foremost, as we record this, next weekend, August 4th, Girls Night Out at 7, you versus Mia Yim in a steel cage for the AIW Absolute Women's Championship. Location is...
Cleveland.
It's Turner's Hall in Cleveland, so...
Same place as last time, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent, okay. So if you can get along to that, tickets are still available at the website. Get on it. I've not been able to get to them, so I've managed to watch the AIW download videos, video downloads I should say, on a Smart Mark Video to date, so check those out. They're usually out not too long after the event, and I can't wait to see that one. Shine 2 coming up next month as well. What
August 17th.
There you go. What else you got coming up that's that people need to know about?
Well, I don't know when this podcast is being released, but tomorrow on terrible dates, the 28th, I'm actually going to be in Niagara Falls for Neo, and I'm wrestling Angelina Love, who I believe is now going under her former name as Angel Williams.
Indeed. Well, we'll probably put this up on the website. We're recording this late on Friday night. This will probably go up on Saturday. So unless you happen to be in Niagara Falls, chances are you're not going to be able to listen to this and then get to the show. But if you can, if
you're close, just stop by.
Feel free. And anything else you need to talk about?
One thing I did want to mention was the whole Twitter thing. I always tell people, oh, and it goes back into Facebook too. Okay, I hate Facebook. I don't upload it, or I don't update it rather, very often. Because for some reason on my phone, it won't let me update my fan page. It just tries to do it from my actual Facebook that's like completely hidden and private. And I can't update my Facebook fan page for Allysin K. So I can only do it when I am home on my laptop, and that's just rare. So it
You
doesn't
have an
get.
Android, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I've got the same problem.
I actually really love this phone. It's just I can't. It drives me nuts that I cannot update my fan page. So I have to actually go on the laptop, and I just can never. I can't ever find time to just sit in front of this laptop, except for now when I actually like schedule time aside. But yeah. So Twitter. I always tell people if you're on my Facebook, just add me on Twitter. Same thing with Jessica and Stephanie. When we're on our road trips and we're going through these ridiculous shenanigans that we go through, this all gets tweeted out. Like, you're basically on the road with us. So if you want to, you're like a part of it. You get to see these stupid pictures, the stupid crap we get into that you're never going to see on Facebook. So I always try to just push for people to follow me on Twitter. And as you said, I'm much more active on Twitter because I actually have access to it on my phone.
Yeah, I've been part of one of these crazy road trips as well, in a sort of weird way.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah, just sending messages to Steffi via Voxer. I think last time I was reciting lyrics from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
Yes, and it was so awesome.
in a
Oh my
plummy
God.
English accent, if I remember right.
Even
Yes.
if you remember right, you have a plummy English accent.
I do not have a plummy English accent.
Yes, you do.
Seriously, Lee, I really want you to just I want to hire you to follow me every day and just narrate everything that I'm doing.
I'd be more than happy to do that. Just feed me and give me somewhere to sleep.
Okay, seriously, it's a deal. Will you please fly over here?
I'm coming to Detroit.
Yes.
You could be
I'm so excited. When I listened to the podcast with you guys and Jessica, I was seriously I fell in love with your guys' accents. They're awesome.
Oh, thank you very much, Miss K.
Actually, the
Would you-
idea that you're going to be like the English version of Ricardo Rodriguez.
It'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah,
That'd be
you can
great.
do that. You can totally do that.
Miss K, would you like to come round to my humble abode for some tea and scones? Would you like Earl Grey or oolong?
Ooh, yeah.
I don't even know what oolong is.
I don't either.
Well, I don't know where we can go after that, quite frankly.
Yeah. I just killed it.
I think you're spent.
Sorry, was I too English?
A little bit.
Oh well.
I love when you talk English to me. There you go. There's a clip.
Man, I feel so left out. I need somebody who finds the Irish accent irresistible instead.
Okay, I love when you talk Irish to me also.
I love this woman.
She's great. She may be our new favourite.
Yay!
Yay, politics. No.
We're easily bought.
We are. Just give us a compliment and we're yours.
Yeah. Anyway, the Twitter handle once again.
Twitter for me is Allysin K. So it's ALLYSIN underscore KAY.
The
Because
underscore is
somebody
the
took
important
Allysin K. What?
Yes, the underscore is the important bit because otherwise it's not going to be half as much fun.
Exactly. And I didn't want that stupid underscore, but somebody already had Allysin K without it, so I had to choose it, and I was pissed.
If you ever find that person, you're going to stab them.
I will. I'll cut them with my machete.
Do you know the worst part about it? I've just looked at it. It's a person called Allysin Davis who has 4 tweets. Hasn't tweeted since the 17th of May, 2010.
Oh, shit. Do you think that if I try to contact them, they would change it?
They're not even going to pick up they haven't looked at the Twitter since 2010.
Yeah.
They haven't looked in 2 years.
Do they have an email address on there?
No. Not even
Yeah.
a picture. It's just an egg.
That makes me even more angry.
Following 3 people and has 7 followers.
There's another Allysin K.
I'm thinking that probably about 3 or 4 of those 7 followers are fans of yours, and they're thinking you're not half as interesting as they say you are.
Right.
Who's this boring woman?
I think it was last year. There's a girl named Allysin K that I think was in the Justin Bieber movie or something.
Oh God.
And I actually tweeted her and I told her she had to change her name. This was last year, but obviously she never responded. Little bitch.
Oh, bitch.
Brilliant. Right. Anyway, apart from that, everyone go to Twitter immediately, Allysin_K, and go and see this lady when she wrestles nearby, which she's all over the place. It's got to be somewhere soon.
Yes. And that's another thing. It's people that spell my name wrong drive me nuts. It's Allysin. Like sin. Like maiden sin. Oh, it's genius. a lot of times, I think it's on the WSU website too. They write Allisyn, and it drives me nuts because it looks
It was
so.
like that on the last iPay-per-view.
Isn't it so ugly?
It's like
It
it's like
hurts.
they'd never seen you before.
It hurts me to look at. It hurts my eyes to look at the letters like that.
You didn't have to see it. You were walking to the ring.
Right. Well, I see it everywhere else. They have it on more than just that.
No buys.
So yes, people, get it right.
Yeah,
Get it right. She has a machete. She will cut you.
Okay. Allysin, thanks again, and we will speak to you again hopefully pretty soon. Good luck next week in the cage. And as far as all listeners are concerned, we will come in your ear again pretty soon.
Ew!